Okay, it's Monday, September 19th. This is a pre-opening SPY video, and actually we're about 2.5 hours before the open, so it's real early here, but you can see some things developing that kind of might guide us to what will happen today and what's going to happen in the days and weeks ahead. So let's kind of look at it quickly. In other words, right now we are gapping a lot lower. If you wake up, you'd see the Dow futures down close to 300 points. And, we have this range forming at the moment here, pre-market here, still 2.5 hours to go, like I said. So we'll see where these blue lines end up near the open. But if we do gap down 300, what it is, let's say we stay down there to start the session. So now we're near the lows of this bar, which is kind of near the lows of yesterday. Again, we rallied up a little bit towards the end of the day. So this big gap down is just really taking us back to where we were intraday on Friday. Again, on the recap video, I showed a daily chart that had a green bar. So I said, it's possible we could open up a little bit and kind of rally first before heading lower. The reason you expect it to head lower is when you go to the weekly chart, you see a big red bar. And when you see a big red bar like this, you do expect at some point that low is going to be tested. If it's not the first move of the week, then it probably will happen sometime midweek. If it's the first move of the week to the downside, you got to be careful. Do you continue strong, or is it a possible reversal area? Like here on the green bar, I expected the high to be tested. So we tested it for one day last week, and then it eventually moved lower. But you did test the high of that green bar. And if you look at any of these bars, when I see a big green bar, I expect the high to be tested. When I see a little green bar, high is tested. Green bar, again, the high was tested, but then it failed by the end of the week. So anytime you see a big red bar, you close the week, you expect the low to be tested. In this case, we went down for the whole week. So you just have to see where you are, in terms of continuation or failure. You have to kind of judge what some of the next targets are. What's interesting here is this pre-market range, the low of it. Let's say we open near the lows here. We gap down big, and let's say this holds all, for the next couple hours, and we start near the bottom of this range and we start lower. Well, on the weekly chart, this bottom of this range here is right at our next weekly target. So that could be just a quick target we hit, and maybe this bar fails, just maybe it goes down, it goes down a little bit today on Monday, but then by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it goes all the way back up. I'm not expecting that necessarily because with interest rate, decision midweek, even though the market kind of knows what's happening with that, it's tough. You could get a big rally, who knows? But anyway, I'm just showing you that's the next target. And in order to continue it, if that really holds any kind of a down move and you take out this target today, then we have our next target down here, which is actually back to that big picture. I've been discussing this in many videos. That's our monthly target, the inside of this green bar being an inside bar. We failed to the upside, so we're still looking on this 2-down month in September to go to the bottom of that bar. That's all based on this inside bar that failed to the upside. I've just shot some videos on that. So anyway, if we go back to the pre-market range, if we open below the the bottom of this pre-market range, then we're getting that 3-2 continuation to start the week. The red bar forming a little lower. Then we have to see, do we continue lower all the way to the monthly target throughout the week, or is it a possible thing where we fail and reverse? Because in terms of a signal, the weekly chart, if we just get a 3-2 down in some form, this is by the end of the week, by coming to this week, by the end of the week, and then we get a 2 up into next week, that could be a reversal signal from this 3 bar to the downside. Whether we hit this area or not, I don't know. That's where we're projecting. But if we don't get the major continuation, we can get a 3-2 down, 2 up reversal. That's kind of a powerful reversal signal, but that would take until next week to form, and we'll have to see what kind of weekly bar forms this week. If we start to the upside somehow, let's say this market rallies a little bit, and by 2.5 hours from now, we're near the top of this range, then we're opening above the midpoint of this prior day. And we could have a green bar to start up here, to start the session. That's why we always look at that opening bar. If we get a green bar heading up to start, then we're not quite hitting the 2, we're not following through lower very, right at the start. And we anticipate we're at that point, it's just an inside bar heading up, to start the week. And at some point, I'm going to expect a rollover to test that low, whether it happens today immediately, or maybe, we rally a little bit and then Tuesday, Wednesday, it goes down. Who knows? But that, that's why it's interesting here where this pre-market range seems to be forming. Either we're going to get that 2 down, the 3-2 continuation lower right from the start, or we're going to, break above the midpoint of this green bar and maybe start up a little bit which will kind of forecast that we're going to head up here, but at some point reverse to take out this low. So in other words, you got the weekly chart with a big red kind of showing you're going to be heading down, and you have this daily chart with a green kind of showing you maybe you're going to, test the high of that bar. So that's why this pre-market range is sort of interesting to see where it ends up and where price starts. So, and then the final thing, if you look back at the week, let's say we get a down start and a red bar to start. What you're going to look for, are you going to day to day like this, where the first red bar heads lower and then continues strongly, and if you can see that big move down, then anticipate, one move down, pause, maybe a second move on the day, kind of working towards that monthly target a little bit. Or are you going to get what a lot of the other days were this week, where you kind of, maybe probe in this case, we went up a little bit first, we're near the low of the range, but we go up a little bit green, and then we get that sell signal, which at least projects to the bottom of the range. To take out the intraday or the pre-market low. So you can get a green bar here, it doesn't quite reach the top. You get that reversal signal, you go short, and then the only big trade of the day is just taking out this low. You're not going to get quite, this kind of a trend type of move down. You might just get like green bar up, then the reversal signal, boom, there's your trade for the day. It's just a couple of, maybe an hour or so, or 45 minutes. Same thing here. Went up a little bit first, even though the bias was down, and then it failed, and then you just come down here, and that's all you got for the day. And same thing almost here on Friday, same thing. There was actually a start down where it kind of got stopped out, but then this was the reversal, and boom, that's the only move you get back down there. So I don't know, are you going to get that strong continuation, or are you going to get if you start at the bottom, or are you going to get more of a little rally first and then take out the low? And if you take out that low, again, keep that in mind. Let's say you start up here, green a little bit, then you take out the low, which means you're taking out the bottom of this week to start the week. Then you got to see, is this going to be a 3-2 continuation week, or are we going to some point fail as the week goes on, getting ready for maybe an up week next week? So that's stuff to watch for. So anyway, I'll end it there. We're just going to have to see. A long way to go before this range is completed, and just keep an eye on that. Know the key levels here in terms of depending where price opens, do we break above or below, the pre-market high or low? That's level number one. Are we going to be at the, above or below the midpoint of the prior daily bar if it goes up? And then if we start up, just realize you're an inside bar on the weekly chart, and that means you're at some point probably going to test the low of that. If we start down, then we already got our weekly test to the low side based on this big red bar, which should test lower. And keep in mind, are we going to get strong continuation or not? And the fact that you might get some kind of reversing developing here, given that you've already broadened to the downside. So that's what we stand. We'll see where market opens. Again, I think these pre-market highs and lows are developing right at key areas, midpoint of yesterday, low of the prior week, and those are kind of important areas in terms of what might develop next. So let's see how it opens.